What up, peeps? It's RGT. Welcome to the stash, and today we're going to be doing a reaction video to a video called 99 Problems in AEW in 13 Minutes. Now, this is done by a channel called Age of Wrestling. I will have a link to the original video in the description box down below, so make sure you guys go check that out and show them some love. Maybe hit that subscribe button. They're on the road to 30K. But I've seen a lot of people reacting to this video, and I kind of just wanted to react to it as well. I've been watching AEW since its inception. I'm friends with people that work at AEW, but I'm also like realistic enough to know it's not, the wrestling friendship, it's the wrestling business. So, there's always going to be problems, there's always going to be disagreements, but let's just watch this together and I'll give you guys my thoughts on different topics that are brought up here.
Signing Edge to AEW was not a great decision because his presence does very little to sell tickets or boost the ratings. 2. Signing Ric Flair to AEW in a multi-year deal doesn't make any sense considering he's almost 75 years old.
So Edge, I think, is okay. Flair, I mean, I wouldn't have brought him in on a multi-year deal unless you're doing like toys and stuff like that with him. So yeah, I can agree with that.
Very little value to the product. It also doesn't help that he has a very shady past. 3. Tony Khan chastised Vince McMahon for being a sexual abuser, but then signs Ric Flair, who also has been outed as a sexual abuser, to AEW.
I think a lot of that is just virtue signaling, though. Like, you know how that goes. You get angry at the current thing that everyone's angry at, and then you kind of move along.
This is selective morality. 4. Tony Khan banned Hulk Hogan from AEW.
Whoa.
Allows Sabu to be on AEW.
Whoa.
Even though he has said some very racist things. 5.
Okay. Now, did Sabu say some messed up stuff? Yes. But I also feel like people deserve, like, second chances. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody's like, hey, you can't say that, bro. Like, that's messed up. And then they continue to say stuff like that and don't really care, then yeah, it becomes a problem. But I think both of those instances, that were given, at least in my opinion, they both, Hogan and Sabu have both, haven't messed up again. So it's like, at what point are we like, hey, forgiveness, we allow people to grow? Because it seems like in society today, we don't really do that.
Allowing Paul White to be a physical threat on AEW doesn't make sense because the man can barely.
I mean, he's a big guy though.
Only doing the stanky leg. 6. Signing Jeff Hardy to AEW was not the greatest move.
That
proved to be more of a liability.
I mean, you know why they did it though.
Like how he used to.
You know why they did it.
Over relying on older stars is a common thing in AEW as there's a constant presence and emphasis on stars that are over 50.
I mean, I don't think we should. I mean, isn't that. We go into the morality, isn't that ageism or something, or ageist? Like, I'm not bashing the video's creator or anything like that. Everyone is allowed to have their own opinion, but RVD popping up occasionally, I think that's cool. Sting's on his final run. Jericho can still go. Edge can still go. Paul White, he doesn't show up regularly. Flair, Jeff Jarrett still invokes a good reaction. I mean, I can understand the mantra, but I don't necessarily think any of these guys are being used in a way, maybe like Flair, but I mean, I don't know, Flair's not out there wrestling. I mean, you got to have the legends to bring in the casuals.
Letting CM Punk go was a big mistake as ratings are now low. And
nah, I mean, problematic.
AEW is very disorganized, as seen with them not having a ride ready for their biggest star, CM Punk.
Why does he look so weird in that picture?
His way to the stadium in a foreign country. 10. Tony Khan is afraid to hand his big stars losses, so he books his big stars conservatively, which is a problem. 11. Tony Khan's rants on Twitter are quite honestly.
And now I'll give you that, yeah, for sure.
Child crying on the internet because he doesn't get his way.
He needs to calm down.
Fellow YouTuber and AEW fan Tranquilo Club revealed that Tony Khan reached out to him to get booking advice. This is the problem with Tony Khan. 13. Tony Khan's huge announcements are getting out of hand. Some of the stuff that he announces can just be tweeted out. 14. Tony Khan can't get a hold of his talent. This is seen with the many backstage fights in AEW.
I mean,
Tony Khan is too nice and wants to be one of the boys.
I do think he is a bit too nice at some points.
16. AEW lied about the all-in Wembley attendance. They said that their attendance was over 80,000, while the English government said that their attendance was around 72,000.
That's semantics.
Very WWE move. 17. 3 shows is way too many shows. Everything besides Dynamite doesn't
Now,
feel
see,
like necessary viewing.
I kind of disagree with that. I miss when there was like AEW Dark because I felt like it was a good way to see. I mean, think of how many people came up in AEW Dark and ended up becoming mainstays. Like Powerhouse Hobbs was originally like a jobber on AEW Dark, and now like look at him. So, you know, I would probably get rid of Rampage and bring back Dark, but I think the 2 shows is all right.
Besides Collision once in a while. 18. AEW's crowds are getting emptier by the show. 19.
I mean,
on top of the empty crowds, the crowds are much quieter in comparison.
But that's not really a
between 2019
you know, that's just business ebbs and flows.
AEW tours in the same places constantly.
Now, I will agree with that. Chicago gets way too much love. Sorry, Chicago people.
AEW's ticket prices are quite high considering their product isn't that hot. They've reduced their prices, but it's still a problem. 22. AEW ratings have been suffering in 2023 and it's just getting worse. 23. When AEW and NXT went head-to-head in October of 2023, NXT beat AEW.
But it wasn't the same day. So Dynamite's usually on Wednesdays, and they were on a Tuesday for that show. Like, that makes a big deal. Look at when SmackDown has to move to like FS1 or move to a different time slot or something like that. It's a problem for any wrestling company. So I don't agree with that comparison.
Granted, NXT had a very stacked card with top stars. It's still embarrassing for AEW. 24. AEW haven't hit 1 million viewers on Dynamite since February of 2000.
I mean, that's a fair assessment.
Look like that will change for a while. 25. Battle of the Belts episodes are a flop.
Yep.
Title changes rarely ever happen, and it tanks in the ratings. 26. AEW are moving to monthly pay-per-views, which isn't a bad thing, but $50 a month for a pay-per-view is outrageous.
There needs to be a streaming service or something like that.
For $10 a month. 27. AEW
there you
go. Streaming service like the WWE network, even though Tony Khan has promised it for years. 28. Storylines in AEW are lacking and not good enough.
That's subjective.
Booking has no continuity. Stars get a push then disappear for weeks on end, thus diminishing their momentum. 30. Tony Khan booked Kenny Omega vs MJF on 3 days notice on free TV in front of 3,500 fans and 470,000 viewers on TV. AEW could have made much more money from this match, but Tony Khan was booking just to pop a rating. 31.
I mean, that's the business, though.
The women's division has been a problem in AEW since day one, and it's basically the same to this day. 32. The women of AEW don't have enough TV time to tell stories or cut promos, and this affects the division negatively.
I agree with that.
33. The women's division has so much drama backstage. There's so much bullying and politicking, and that is detrimental to the division. 34. Tony Khan is afraid to lean into real life. Vince McMahon would have taken full advantage of
but
with Jack Perry.
You can't lean into real life if the people aren't willing to do business. You know what I'm saying?
And CM Punk, and would have probably played the footage of the fight on TV and turned it into a storyline. But instead, Tony Khan just fired his biggest star, CM Punk. 35. There's too much of a presence of Ring of Honor on AEW.
I think this guy's a big CM Punk fan, judging by this video.
Doesn't watch ROH. 36. The whole interim champion thing is a mess. 37,
I agree with that.
The booking of the TNT title has been a mess. Before Christian Cage got the title had diminished in significance. 38,
I don't know about that.
Of the ranking system
I do kind of miss the ranking system.
And made booking sense. 39. Tony Khan could benefit from having a creative team or someone qualified to help him with creative in order to add good storylines to matches. 40. AEW doesn't hold production meetings in fear of things leaking before the show, even though this is a prerequisite to put on a good TV show. And that's why there's so many production issues with AEW on TV when watching live. 41. Wrestling is supposed to be a circus. There's not enough freaks and too many guys in
Abaddon
AEW that look like regular people.
You can't say that word, by the way.
There's too many dream matches in AEW and not enough story-driven matches. 43. There's a massive focus on putting on good wrestling matches, which is fair, but it's not the key to growing an audience. 44. There's a lot of fast food wrestling in AEW, filled with insane spots designed to give the viewers a dopamine rush, but is ultimately forgettable. Filet mignon wrestling is what is needed. 45.
Yeah, but that's just a business.
In AEW, and fans can tell. There's way too many botches in AEW. 46.
Yeah, but there's the indies.
On hardcore
no, I disagree with that.
And quite frankly,
that's what helps them stick out. You just, okay. I mean, you want fast food. You don't want fast food wrestling, but you don't want a different style of wrestling. Like, I don't know. I think the hardcore stuff is what makes them a bit more unique.
Gimmick matches is a massive problem in AEW, and quite frankly, there's just too much blood. 47. John Moxley bleeds way too much. Almost
I think he should bleed more.
He bleeds. This wears off the novelty and shock factor of blood. 48. AEW matches are too unsafe. You have wrestlers flip-flop flying and almost dying just to get a pop from the fans.
Yeah, but
sustainable in the long run.
Safety, too many injuries once again. I mean, Ridge Holland broke Big E's neck on a pretty standard, you know, suplex. It's just the style, and I mean, yeah,
the concussion protocol,
they could slow it down, but I don't know.
Concussion protocol in AEW. 51. Bryan Danielson is a major asset in AEW, but he's fragile due to his injury-laden past. AEW have allowed him to do whatever he wants, and that's why he's had so many injuries in AEW. 52. AEW allowed Bryan Danielson to wrestle even though he had 2 fractured orbital bones, which is unacceptable. 53. Darby Allin takes insane bumps, which is awesome and all, but this sort of recklessness is what could land him in a wheelchair by the time he's 50. AEW needs to protect wrestlers from themselves. 54. Even though Darby Allin is injured, he's still allowed to do death-defying stunts elsewhere, and this could seriously hurt him, which could be bad for AEW. 55. AEW even allowed Darby Allin to get a face tattoo. While this is surface, it ruins all chances for him to become a megastar in AEW.
You're not his parents, though. Like,
biggest star and marketer of your product with a face tattoo. Advertisers won't allow this.
Hi.
56. MJF used to wrestle once or twice a month, but nowadays in AEW, he wrestles 4 to 5 times a month. This overexposes him and wears the special aura of MJF away. 57. Allowing MJF to hype up his contract ending and him potentially going to WWE.
But that's part of the story. I think he's already re-signed.
58. It's not only MJF who buries AEW publicly, but other wrestlers do this too, and it just makes AEW look really bad.
I think that's
59.
fair.
Letting Cody Rhodes go was a big mistake as it left a massive hole in AEW. When Cody Rhodes left, it was the beginning of the end for AEW. 60. Letting Jade Cargill go was a big mistake.
Yeah, but you can't keep everyone.
Superstar in WWE.
And she hasn't done anything yet.
Whatever amount of money she wanted.
You know, some people, they just want to move on to something different.
Not signing Dragon Lee was unfortunate, but it highlights the problem of AEW giving one-off appearances to talent just to put them on WWE's radar so that they can sign them. The same thing happened with Cora Jade. 62. It's been reported that the AEW Forever video game took about $40 million to develop. Everyone played the game for a few weeks and then dropped it because of its issues. It's now on sale for almost half the price it was at the launch date. It looks like the game is a flop and is not profitable. 63. The whole WWE diehards versus AEW diehards.
Yeah, but that's any form of fandom, I think.
AEW diehards is that the second you criticize the product, it's like you've attacked them personally. I know because I used to be like this until I snapped out of it.
Get on Twitter.
The New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW working relationship is one-sided. New Japan gets most of the benefits of their working relationship. 65. Adding the Ring of Honor belts, 19 different wrestlers could have a belt on them at any given time.
There are a lot of belts, but it's kind of a Japanese sort of style, which we just talked about with the New Japan thing.
66. The tag team division used to be stacked, but now there's just a mid-tag team division and a mid-trios division. 67. This has been a problem since the early days of AEW and persists to this day.
I'll disagree on that. I like the factions.
68. AEW's booking of Wardlow has been questionable to say the least. He could have been a big star, but his momentum has been thwarted way too many times.
I think that's fair.
69. Keith Lee used to be a big star in WWE.
I mean, Keith Lee's got health problems, though.
70. Miro could have been a big star in AEW.
You can't, but see, you can't have all these people be a big star and then complain that there's too many shows and too many belts, in my opinion, because you got to give these people something to do.
Title and the world title, but he's been stuck in trios action for a while. This is a problem. 72. Buddy Matthews is a killer, but he hasn't reached his potential in AEW due to him being stuck in House of Black. He was better in WWE. 73.
No, he wasn't.
Athena is doing some of the best work of her career in Ring of Honor, but she should be on the biggest stage of Dynamite to showcase her talents. 74. Andrade has been mishandled to be on the biggest stage of Dynamite.
But you just said that there's too much ROH on television.
To showcase her talents. 74. Andrade has been mishandled in AEW. He could have been one of the biggest Latino stars in wrestling, but poor booking has prevented this. 75. Action Andretti scored a big single.
That I'll agree with, 100%.
AEW haven't followed up on him, and now he's just another guy. 76. Only bring out Abaddon to wrestle on Dynamite once per year around Halloween.
Well, she just
ridiculous.
This video is like a month old. She
77.
did something.
MJF, the rest of the 4 pillars are playing mainly side piece roles. It seems like the 4 pillars are there to hold up all the talent. 78. Watching anything to do with Matt Hardy is quite honestly painful. Get him off our TV screens. 79. Jeff Jarrett should not be featured on AEW.
I don't know, man. I hate Jeff Jarrett, but like he's a heat machine.
Shibata almost died in the ring a few years ago. There's a reason why New Japan don't allow him to wrestle for them. Something catastrophic could happen to him at any time, but AEW allows him to do whatever he wants. 81. Tony Khan is too afraid to fire wrestlers as he lets their contracts run out. He should be more ruthless in these matters.
Fire Punk.
Instead of firing their biggest star and
Punk,
AEW should have
I disagree with that.
Jack Perry for the All-In London Brawl.
Someone's a CM Punk fan.
Jack Perry doesn't draw like Punk. 83. AEW lets Stu Grayson go just to rehire him a few months later and then let him sit at home and suck money from AEW. This is the problem. 84. Wrestlers are allowed to take too much time off from AEW and this ultimately hurts the product. 85.
But isn't that good for their health?
Non-existent. They are meant to enforce the rules, but they just let the wrestlers do whatever they want almost all the time. 86. Aubrey Edwards clearly has main character syndrome. She wants to be the center of attention so bad and get herself over, which is not what a referee is supposed to do. 87.
I mean, that's just like a throwback to
was tasteless, considering 1,400
Hebner
murdered by Hamas prior to that segment. 88. The bad acting in segments is just cringe at times. The whole segment with Nick Wayne's mom was not good. 89. Two black men breaking into a white man's house in Virginia and cutting a promo on a baby that's unattended is so unrealistic that it's quite honestly ridiculous. 90. The claim they're cool, but celebrating the 69th day of a title run is just plain silly. It feels kinda like a bad middle school joke at this point. Why would this incentivize viewers to tune in? 91. Even though their promo went off script and they began shooting, Edge calling Ricky Starks a vanilla midget version of The Rock is just too far. Comments like that can bury a young talent. 92. Powerhouse Hub's TNT title reign was largely forgettable due to bad booking, but AEW should have went all in on him because he could be a huge star for the future. 93. Excalibur speeding through announcements on commentary to the point that he's out of breath was amusing at first, but
you gotta get through the announcements. Like, what do you want to do?
94. AEW has been in negotiation with Warner Brothers for a couple of months now for a new TV deal, but negotiations have been stalling due to AEW's recent slump. 95. AEW is not concerned with growing their audience. They are more concerned with pleasing their hardcore fan base. 96. AEW have lost the revolutionary feel that they had in the early days of AEW, and it just feels like another wrestling show. 97. AEW are having an identity crisis. They used to be like NXT on steroids, but now they are a mix of late-stage WCW and 2010's TNA. 98. AEW is not the alternative anymore. They are conforming to the WWE way of doing things. And
no, I think they still are.
AEW is just not the same product that we all fell in love with. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please share.
It depends on what you fell in love with. Like, I fell in love with it because, like, you had the lights out stuff with, like, Joey Janela and, Kenny Omega and John Moxley. Like, that felt like an alternative to me. But, it all kind of just boils down to what you prefer. I think this is a good video. I definitely agree with some of the points. I kind of disagree with some of the points, but, I thought as long as you can back up what you're saying with logic and reasoning, even if I disagree with it, like, I'll still respect your opinion on it. So, yeah, good video. Interesting stuff there. I obviously gave it a like and subscribe to the channel. So I will have a link to this in the description box down below. Make sure you guys go check it out. Show them some love from RGT. And as always, guys, thank you for watching this video. Give me your thoughts. If you're an AEW fan, how do you feel about this? Do you feel a similar way, or do you agree with all of it? Do you agree, with some of it? How you sort of feel about this? And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.